Hey, episode 19. That's where we're at right now today on Nobody Told Me with Mike and Blaine. And we're going to talk about websites, right? Because everybody has one. Websites are just like opinions. And well, of course we have one, right? And matter of fact, mikeandblaine.com is a website. And we've been tinkering with it. So it's kind of cool, kind of funny. And Blaine Birch is with me today. So, hey, Blaine, what's going on?
Oh, not too much, man. Hey, I see the guitar in your background. I was just thinking I should actually just here we can match a little bit. Just move my guitar back there.
Yeah, here's the thing. That is my nemesis over there because I've been trying to teach myself how to play guitar, and guess what? You really can't do really well. Teach yourself how to play guitar.
You know what? I could when I was like, 14 years old. I learned everything on my own. I learned so fast. It's not the same at this age. It just isn't to try and learn stuff. The patience in that is a little bit tough. But
patience, discipline. My fingers hurt. Like going, do I really want to do it? And the fact is, I really do want to do it. I really do want to, even if it's simple, that 3-chord stuff that you can play 25 songs with 3 chords, whatever it is. Even if I could do that, I'd be pretty happy.
Yeah, we'll jam sometime. I haven't played the guitar much lately, but I used to play a lot, so I can usually pull off a few chords here and there. Anyways,
if we're gonna okay, so I'm terrible, but I would love to listen to you play guitar, and I'll show you what I can't do. Play guitar.
It's always a start. Always a place to start, man.
That's right.
So what are you drinking today?
You know what? The oldest craft brewery in Texas is St. Arnold, right? And I was surprised I hadn't drank anything by them during the show, but I'm going to drink the Car IPA. Nice. And I'll tell you, they label it as a very hoppy American IPA, and they are not kidding, boy. If you like hops, if you like that bitterness of an IPA, this is going to be the one. So if you come to Texas or you see it in your store, go there because this thing is packed full of flavor.
Nice. I haven't seen that one before. I've never tried that. This week, and so I had to go into my fridge, and I said to my wife, I'm like, I better do a run to the beer store because all I'm down to are these ridiculously heavy stouts, and I need some other options here. So, but today, this is a really nice one. It's called Energy City Brewing.
Okay.
Bratisserie S'mores Stout. Now I got to read what's in here because it's an imperial stout brewed with natural flavors, including graham crackers, cocoa, marshmallows, lactose, and vanilla. All right. It's a 10%er. It's a big, heavy one, but but Energy, and when I should say Energy City is in Batavia, Illinois, which I've never heard of. I hope I pronounced that right.
Chicago. I think it's up by Chicago. Batavia, Illinois.
Hey, you know what? Everything in Illinois is by Chicago because I don't know anything about
it. Chicago is Illinois. That's right. Yeah. It's actually, you probably knew this or didn't. I grew up in Galesburg, Illinois, which is about, hour and a half or more outside Chicago. Nice. So very cool. So I'm glad you're liking Illinois beer, right? That's 2 weeks in a row you've done an Illinois beer.
And I don't know how I just a fluke. I ended up grabbing this stuff, but they must make really good beer there because I keep grabbing it. So, but I'll have to get something that's not a 10-12% stout next time, but it's good though. It's a nice stout. So
now a s'mores beer, you need the guitar and you need a bonfire or just a little fire pit, right? That's fire pit. I'm feeling that with that beer right now.
We got a little fun. We got a little fire thing in our backyard, but it's propane. You turn it on. It looks really neat. It's a big, concrete thing with a little fire in it. But it's all propane, which is a little bit of a cheater way to move. So
yeah. So all right. So let's talk about websites, right? Because when I first got into business, that was like we just didn't do it, right? I didn't have a website, and that was something that somebody had to talk me into, and you had to have somebody build it for you, and it was weird, and it just we wasn't used to it to what it is today, right? There's been a big evolution from one side to the other on websites. And what's cool is that we just built one, right? And for those people that don't have a website or you're thinking about a website, don't be scared of it anymore because if Mike and Blaine can do it, anybody can, right? Which means that there are so many great companies out there that allow you to build websites with just a point and a click and a push and as long as you kind of got an idea of what you want to do, you can do it. What are you thinking?
Yeah, and the big change that I've seen from like the first website I ever made was probably in my first job, because websites were so new. And my first couple of years before I kind of ventured out on my own, I was working in a design studio, and I think it was the only one that actually had the technical background to be able to make a website. But it was kind of like, well, we had to have a website. Everyone has to, it was 1996, I think. And so I was, I built a website, and it was so like graphic heavy, and I was playing around with animated GIFs, I think, at that point, and then not too much longer Flash and all this stuff. And it was the tail wagging the dog. Like, there wasn't a lot of content. There wasn't a lot of thought on that. It was like, yeah, it was just a lot of visuals and moving stuff, and probably like our phone number. Like, there wasn't much on there. And over the years, it's evolved. So like now, like we just redid our website for Dry Run not too long ago. The process we went through, and the weeks and months of actually going through talking about messaging, branding, channels, and funnels, and how it's all about content and the user experience, and not user experience in an interface way, but very much how do they learn about our product and how do they move through the sales funnel. It's such a different, much more sophisticated way of thinking about it, but it makes it so much more effective, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, early on, like, websites were just strictly informational, right? And I don't even really know when I first did one. I actually think my first, what I called a website, was a MySpace page. Or something like that, right? We're like, hey, we got a MySpace page, we got a presence now. We're out there, in the ether. But
yeah,
all that was informational, and that's all we could do. But now it's like you're saying, a website becomes a functional piece of the business, right? It's where it's like a touchless car wash.
It's fundamental, right? Like, it's just. Yeah, it is so fundamental. And it is interesting that the technology side, like you said, like our mikeandblaine.com, like, it was a 15-minute website or whatever. Like, it was but the technology side is so much easier. And I was talking with someone the other day, and we were talking about, like, back in my agency days, if we did an e-commerce component, it was like 30 grand or something to build. And now it's like $20 on Shopify, and you have multiple more control over anything we ever could have done for it. And so the technology is the easy part now. It really is for just a website, that we're not talking web apps, but a website. But it's the content, and it's that usability and the flow and everything is just has to be so different. It has to be so effective now.
All right, so I'm thinking of website's purpose, right? Not only does it give you information, but it gives you credibility, because people judge you right off the bat, right? What do you look like in the world, right? Because it's your image. We've talked a lot about image in here. We got that credibility. Believe it or not, banks are now using websites to kind of verify whether or not you're a business. When they got these regulations called Know Your Customer and Know Your Business. They'll ask you for either a website, and if you don't have a website, they're going to ask you for a marketing plan. Like, okay, well, how are you promoting your business if you don't use a website? So it's one of those things. Yeah, and so I found this out. Right now, I'm working with a digital bank, and that's part of our verification process is looking to see if you have a website. But here's the thing. Here's what I found out is that there are some shitty websites out there. Absolutely terrible websites where you're like going, and I'm thinking about these accountants that I'm working with or worked with for a long time. And you're like going, man, that's something that was created in the 90s. I mean, it really looks like a 90s website that they never updated.
Yeah, we see that. We see that all too often. We talk with accountants all the time, and we see it way too often where they haven't, it's a 10, 15-year-old, and it wasn't effective at that time. Like, someone gave them almost an out of the box structure. They put some stock photos up, and then they had these pages, and then they would have to type something in, and they would write like 2 lines on a page or something. You don't know what they do. You don't know how they help, what their benefits are, what their strengths are. And then every once in a while you get to one that's really progressive. Like, oh man, these guys look dialed in. And it can be your complete perception of the business from A to B. You could walk in and it could be like this beautiful, like contemporary office, and they're so dialed in. And then you go in, it could be a little like, out of a back of a van, but that back of the van, if they have a website that looks so dialed in, that's what you see, and you trust them right off the hop, right?
Yeah, right. I mean, have you ever not done business with somebody because of their website?
Oh, I'm positive.
Absolutely, right.
Absolutely.
I'm searching, especially if you're searching. We barely get off page one, but I might look at 3 on page 1, right? I don't always just go with the top one. Maybe I'll look at 3. Maybe I'll go 2 pages.
20 tabs. I'll have tabs everywhere. I over research everything. So I always have,
easy, right? And then I'll go back and forth. And if you got tables, I want to see your table versus their table. And I do make judgments off of what you look like, right? Not completely as a person, on an online presence.
On a website, yeah. Like I don't even remember what I was looking for. I think it might have been furniture or something the other day. And I again, like opened a bunch of tabs, and it's like, oh, interesting. And then I got to one, and it was the same thing. It looked like it was done in 1990.
Yeah.
And you immediately, like, spidey sense starts tingling, like, no way, there's zero chance. They might be a great business, like on as a bricks and mortar, but there's no way I would trust them to like, I'm not entering a credit card into that. And I don't trust that I'll even get it, all based on how slick the website looks. On the other side, you also have to be careful, because someone can make a really slick site, and you have to kind of still do your homework and go, is it legit? Is it because they get past round 1, but round 2 is, are they actually credible? You believe they are because they look like it, but you got to be careful with that too.
Okay, so let's talk about that. So what are some necessary things that you think every website should have? Right,
well, number 1, when you get to the homepage, I better be able to understand what you are, what you do, what value you bring. And it's amazing. I've gone to pages not that long ago and looked at them and went, I don't even know what you guys are doing. I don't even really understand what you're doing. Maybe I'm not the target market, but honestly, it just seems like a big pile of jargon. So that's really credible. But going past that, man, there's some simple things. Contact information, but one of the most important pages on the site is the About Us, because I'll click on a site and I don't want to see an About Us page an address or a phone, or no, especially no address. I see only a phone number. No, I want to know who you are. I want to see pictures of people, and they should be looking like I trust them, and I should have bios of those people and some background on the business, because I don't want to read a book, but a website should not be a faceless entity that I don't know where on the planet you're from.
Hey, people still buy people, not products, right?
Absolutely.
You just got to figure out a way to do that digitally. And think about it. We're even doing that right now with Zoom. All right, you got to figure out a way to be a person online. Yes. Right. And that's what the 90s and early 2000s didn't have. It was just it was like reading a brochure. Right.
Yes.
And there was no connection.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure my first website didn't even have photos. We were doing something in HTML. And I think it was back then, I think I did purple with yellow text.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. That's beautiful.
That's so awesome. If you're an LSU fan, they'd love it.
Oh, there you go. That's like LA Kings colors, but I don't know. Yeah.
So you're right. I went to companies before, and I'm like, I don't have any idea what they're doing. And here's a real example that happened to me yesterday. I've got a friend that has gotten into cryptocurrency.
Okay.
All right. And if you want to be super confused, try to dip your toe into crypto and blockchain. And now this thing is NFTs, because people are using. And that's non-fungible assets. It's like you can't replace it. It's like an old Mickey Mantle baseball card, right? Like, it's an NFT. You can't replace it. Well, so I went to this site called OpenSea, right? OpenSea.io, or I forget what it is, and it's a marketplace for these NFTs.
Okay.
And really, what it boils down to, and it took me a long time to figure it out, was well, it's people selling digital art.
Yeah.
right? Like I'm
It's,
going to buy, a digital picture that you made or something like that. I'm not going to
it's,
spend.
I don't really totally understand. It seems like they're building, they're creating what they consider as scarcity. And it's like, this is the original version of this digital asset that can easily be copied. Because like I can take a screenshot of it, and
And
I'm not
sold
saying like,
over and over and over again.
yeah,
Yeah.
as far as I don't know, I don't know NFTs that well. People listening probably know, like, could correct me in all of this, because I really don't know. But um, I imagine if you took a screenshot of an NFT, it's actually a completely different asset. It's not the original.
Hmm.
Basically looks identical. So I don't really know. That seems a little bizarre to me. I'll be honest with you, the whole thing seems really bizarre to me. So
And I'll tell you, if you want to get into that world, I need some websites that explain things a little bit better, because, all right, so you got to get like, we'll say a Coinbase account. And then from the Coinbase account, you need a digital wallet. Like, and the one I got was MetaMask or something like this. And it holds these crypto coins. And I'll tell you, if you get into this, do not put a lot of money into this thing, because meaning it seems like people lose a lot more money than they make, right? Or spend a lot more
yeah,
money. These transactions fees, they call them gas fees, are ridiculously high, right? But here's the thing: you
someone's
don't know
making money.
these things. Yeah, they don't. Yeah, the person that middle person that's moving the crypto from one place to next. That's who's making the money
That's
on this,
just making the
right?
money. Yeah.
In this blockchain, right? So I mean, because and actually, I'm a fan of blockchain. We should do an episode on that, because a lot of people don't know, but it's really
Yeah.
a digital ledger that can't be forged, can't be changed, can't be. And I'm kind of a fan of that. But
Yeah, you've just said basically the entire thing that I understand about big, like, I don't the blockchain. So if we do an episode, make sure you give me enough time to study for a week. So because even this episode, we started talking about NFTs, and it reminds me of a clip I saw on probably online not too long ago, and it was right around the time that the World Wide Web was actually, like, I was, would it be like 92, or I can't even remember the year, like around that time. And there was I think it was a guy on Letterman or something, and he said, well, is this the internet? Like, he's asking a question, and it was so funny listening to it now, because you're like, oh, they do not. This is what I feel like right now, is that if we look back on this in a year or two, and we're talking about blockchain and NFTs, and be like, oh, I'm embarrassed, I don't know what the hell I was talking about.
we were so dumb. We were so dumb. Yeah.
Exactly. By then I'll be like, yeah, I have a whole portfolio of NFTs, right?
But it to me, it's just like websites. So people were dumb to websites. Like, why do I need that? Who's doing this? Who's even searching for it? How do I make money if I do that? It cost me $10,000. Actually, when we made the Recover website, Recover was an herbal supplement that I did in the early or mid 2000s.
Yep.
It was like a $40,000 website. And to me now, that sounds crazy.
It does, for like, there, especially because, even like I said, like, you plug in e-commerce, you plug in this, you plug in that, it's got to be an enormous site. And it wasn't that long ago, like, where, we were building websites that I'm sure were probably pushing up on 6-figure, right? And now I'm like, it's almost hard to imagine for most businesses. Like, it's the costs have come down for like these average businesses. But for something so critical, it's still worth the money. Like, it would still be worth the money, because it's actually more important that when you built a website for 40 grand, 50 grand or whatever, it probably wasn't even nearly a fraction of as important as it is now. And you're paying way less right now.
And we only did it because we were trying to drive traffic to the physical stores, which was the Walgreens we were in, and the other stores, the grocery stores, and the convenience stores. We didn't even make money off of it. I mean, it was just so we had a presence out there that we looked legit when the vice president of Walgreens says, should we bring this into our stuff? Oh, hell, look,
Yeah.
They must be a real company. No, it was two guys in a warehouse.
Yeah. Well, even like when like my creative agency days, the primary part from our website was for credibility, for people looking us up.
Yeah.
That we already had in our sales funnel. If anyone actually called us off of the website, we're like, I don't even want to talk with them, because they're not coming in the right door. Like, nobody's coming in with a big budget to build something really interesting at that time off the web. Now it actually probably would be different, but this is 15 years ago. And for us, we found like you're building you're building your sales funnel, you have all your leads, your potential jobs, and they're checking up on you. They're checking that you're credible.
Mm-hmm.
No one's coming in with a big paycheck for off the web at that time for us. Maybe others were, but not for us. We didn't even try.
Well, I mean, it definitely is now. I mean, I think even as a consumer, I don't want to talk to nobody. If I see it, I like it. Unless I have a question and I can't get it through chat, then I'll pick up the phone. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, do you think you need chat on your website?
I think it depends on your business, but I think it's extremely helpful for. I don't want to just be a blanket like it's for everybody, but you know what? For a large part, it really is. And like even now, when I went to customer support for Cox Cable not too long ago, and which is sorely needed, and use chat, and I use chat. Like I think probably over the last, I don't know how many few years, I go to chat before virtually anything for support, because it's there. I do not want to have the chronic higher volume, where our call volume is higher than usual. No, it isn't. It's always like this. Everyone I phone ever for support has a higher than normal call volume.
That's right.
That is completely wrong. Chat, you seem to be able to get through, but at least it's up there and I can do stuff and I'm not sitting there listening to their stupid music, right? I found it's just, that's where you go, and it's really can be effective.
But here's the thing: you have to man it, right? So if we're talking to small businesses, I mean, I don't like the chats. I don't like is you send in and it says, "Oh, we usually respond in 1 day."
Yeah, in 7 days, 5 working days. No, that's not chat.
That's not chat. That's email. That's exactly what that is. That's email. So, so it gives you the illusion that you're going to get quick service, even if it's like now. I used it. Who was it with? Somebody recently that I used their chat feature, and it pops up and you're in a queue. Says, "Hey, listen, our wait time is about 12 minutes." But it told me that on chat, so I just let it sit there. Oh, it was a GoDaddy. I was trying to do something on GoDaddy, and it tells you what you are, not the number in the queue, but about the wait time. Yep. Then you just let it sit there, and then it go bing. When the guy pops up. So I'm like going, okay, I'm good with that.
Yeah.
With knowing that what the wait is, whatever it's going to be, 12 minutes, 30. I think one of them was 30 minutes, but and you just kind of let it sit there and run on the side in a different tab. So I'm okay with that. But I think as a small business owner, my challenge has been, man, if we have a chat, somebody's got to monitor that. Somebody's, even if it takes you a couple minutes to get there.
But I don't know what the I think if you have it set up right, see, because the option to the alternative is people are maybe phoning you, and you have to answer now, and you have to be on the phone for the next 10 or 15 minutes. But if my phone buzzed and chat came up and I can actually answer right there, that even for a small business, it may be you can't sit there and watch. But if my phone buzzes and I can answer and not have to actually be on the phone, and I can, have some little wait times while I help somebody else, that might actually work.
Now, I haven't seen it, but are there some of those chat widgets that you can add to your website that you can say only show this from 9 to 7, Monday through Sunday or whatever? Monday through Friday.
You have I think a lot of controls. I would have to ask my team about it, but we have we use intercom. So inside of Dryrun, you actually have an intercom chat thing, and that's where the vast majority of our support conversations start. And so we do not want a phone call. They can if they want. Email is it's harder to respond to, but chat pops up in our systems really quick, right? Yeah. And so it gets responded to really quick, but it also can pop up on the phone and everything. But I know we have hours. We have we have staff from kind of West Coast, East Coast. We have a fairly long day, but we have set hours. So if there's an overseas customer talking with us, they could very well get we'll get back to you during regular working hours, which, sorry, they're North American hours. Too bad,
Well, here's a good thing about your product is chances are nobody has a cash flow forecasting emergency they can't solve tomorrow.
No, it's yeah, no, that's exactly it. They're not desperate. The odd time you do get one where I have a question and I have to present to the board within 10 minutes. And it's usually like, did you look in the help menu? Because it's right there. But anyway, it's, there is going hand in hand as we do have a really like a great knowledge base and all that to help alleviate that. But you're right. Like we are not, you don't have to have people aren't desperate for a reply right away.
Yeah. So, all right. So I think you need a good homepage, and it's got to describe your problem, right? Are you having this problem? It's like the old commercials, right? Do you suffer from
Yeah, exactly.
back pain? Because people can self-diagnose really quickly. Right? They can say, okay, yeah, that's exactly the problem I'm trying to solve, because that's why we go to your website, is we're trying to solve a problem.
Yeah.
Or see if something works a little bit better than what we're currently doing, which is, again, solving a problem.
Yeah. And interesting. We talked, I had a meeting earlier today, and it was interesting because it was just someone that actually, I hadn't really had someone explain things this way, but he a fairly big business. I think it might be a really great partner of ours in the future. And he said, I found out about you guys he goes, I think LinkedIn. I think I saw an article that was posted. I'm like, oh, interesting. Check. And then I went to your website and I looked at it and thought, I get what you guys are doing. And boy, I got to talk with you. And then he booked a meeting. And it was interesting, kind of like you just described a big chunk of our funnel. And it was interesting to have him like sort of validate that I saw you on social. I was really engaged by it. So I went to your website and it helped me understand what you're doing. And this would be something I need to talk with you about. And then I reached out and talked to you. And like Jeremy, Jeremy was on the phone with me. I don't think he necessarily picked that up. And I'm like, yeah, that's pretty cool. Like there's my little funnel right there. And he described it, which was kind of cool.
So do you prefer self-service, right? Even if you go from your marketing website to the app, do you prefer just self-service? That's a seamless,
like when I'm using other services and I prefer self-service until I need I should say it depends on how sophisticated it is, because there was a service we were talking with not too long ago, and I'm just like, just give me a call. Like I do not want to waste time wading through all this and trying to figure it out myself. I just want to talk with someone and figure it out. But that was because of the complexity and sophistication of the service. But I would say like 90% of the time with your average stuff, I'm like, I just want to just don't bug me. I want to work my way through and do it myself. Right.
Yeah. And I tell you what, people I think take for granted two pieces of a website that can really just make a big difference. One is that frequently asked questions. Right. Because most people can answer their own questions. And on top of that is a pretty robust knowledge base, right?
Yep.
Which is a KB, which is, hey, here's just some basic things about it. And people think they got to build that from scratch. You really don't. Like even Wix has what is it? A checklist type of, template for a knowledge base. I mean, you do got to put some work in, but man, if you put that work in up front, it eliminates so much work for your staff in the back end. People just won't have to call or chat or get frustrated with email.
Well, and the other thing too is that then like we'll see a question, like we'll come in on chat and I'm like, hey, I've got a question about this or that. The staff can also just like go to our knowledge base, grab the link and paste it in, because they've done a nice big description, or they can even like copy a portion of it, paste, and here's the link. And so it's a massive time saver, but from the other side, it's a big, like, it's really comes off, like looks like great service when you have a really solid description, a link to more information. Like you look really dialed in then.
Yeah. All right. So here's the ones I don't like is I've used a company in the past, I guess, because I'm saying I don't like it. I won't say their name. but
Rhymes with, you know.
yeah. But I guess I can say, I mean, if I don't like it, I don't like it. I mean, I'm still a paying customer. I just don't like this part of it. It's Apollo, which is kind of a LinkedIn type social selling CRM, right? It can help you identify the right customers in LinkedIn, right? That's really what it is.
Okay.
But there's some filtering that they have, and when am I going? I don't know how to filter by who doesn't have a verified email, right? Because sometimes when you pull some folks in, they won't have a verified email, so you can filter that out. It shows you who doesn't have one.
Yeah,
I don't want to send emails out that to people that I don't know or don't those type of things. So it's one of those things where I went to the knowledge base. And it shows me a completely different screen and gives me different directions to what my actual experience is, right? So again, that was one of the things when I was building software, that if we make a UI change, and the screen looks different, we also have to update the knowledge base article that goes along with it.
And it is like, it is such a pain. And I like, we do our best with that when we roll the new things out and updating the knowledge base, but it's also like, that is a lot of work, and it's hard. That is a hard thing to keep up,
Okay. Well, yeah, because you're running so fast. You're like, well, I want to make these changes. And it isn't just an app, right? It could be in my store. I want to bring in a new product, or I want to bring in, something changes. I change a price. Well, if you don't change the website, you don't change the article or link to it, it really confuses the market.
And like, that's interesting, because the up-to-date info and accuracy on like a store like that is so critical. And like, I'll tell you how often I like up in Edmonton, my favorite beer store has their latest on Untapped all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And so before I even drive over, I'll just take a look. Oh, what do they got this new? And that is like, it's amazing how effective. I don't even think they understand how effective that is for a retail store like that, where you're consuming, like you're over there all the time, to be able to see this is what's new. And so like my Facebook account, like I've got a Facebook account, and I'll admit here, 90% of the use of my Facebook account is to know, like, my favorite beer stores, what's new, because they'll paste a picture of this just in, and then I can go to Untapped and go, oh, what's new, before I walk in the door going, oh, I want to look for this one. I really want that one. Sounds ridiculous, but it makes it easy. It makes it really enticing, and it's going to help them get more sales. They're going to upsell all the time because of that.
So how many times have you went to a store and the price is wrong? The price is different than what's online.
Oh, right? Man,
that's frustrating to me. I'm like, wait a second, this was here's your webpage.
Yeah. It drives me nuts. And I think I haven't had that happen in the last little like year or two. So I wonder if they've started to get on that. Because I remember it wasn't that long ago, I walked into a store, and I can't remember who it was, but it wasn't like, it was a big one. It was like, wasn't Home Depot, but it was that sort of scale. Like, I know it was a big store. And I remember walking in, and I had found something online. I went in to buy it, and their price was different. I said, well, your price is different than online. Oh yeah, no, we have different prices online. You may get a better price online. And you're standing there holding this thing going, are you kidding me? Like,
you can't buy that here.
Yeah. And I don't think that lasted long. I think there was probably some, like, I don't know what role, merchandising manager or something, that thought this was one hell of an idea. And all it would do is piss people off, right?
I mean, speaking of Home Depot, they give me, and they're fantastic at this. They're absolutely, I love it for it. They give me a 10% discount on goods because I'm a veteran, right? And I've got the military. I don't even carry the military ID anymore because Texas put it on my license, my driver's license. It says veteran on it right down at the bottom.
Nice.
Here's the thing about Home Depot, though. I have to go into the store. I can't buy online.
Just not cool. Yeah.
So I go in to buy this 12-foot Christmas tree, right? New house, big thing. So 12-foot Christmas tree. And they have the display right there, but they don't have any on the shelf. And they won't sell me the display because they got 2 on order that are coming in a week. So they won't sell the display. And I get that. And they said, but we can just order you one online and have it shipped to your house. I'm like, yeah, let's do that. Oh, but we can't give you the discount. I'm like, I'm in the store. I think I'm buying in the store, but the clerk, the customer service rep, has to order it online on her computer, so they'll give me the discount because it's an online order.
Yeah. There's times where I wonder how far up the chain, like, because I don't care how big the business is. If you're a CEO of a business and you actually saw like the frustration that clients go through or customers go through, and you lose business over it,
Yeah,
they'd be
then they're not
pissed.
going to lose my business over it.
No, but they would be, like you'd be just like, why you're costing us dollars, right? And it's those silly little inconsistencies are unnecessary, and they're going to cost the business money, because some people will go like, yeah, I'm just going to buy it anyway. Like for myself, I'm like, yeah, like I don't have enough time for this. I'm just buy it, whatever. But there are people that will, I'm sure, hold the line, and you'll lose sales over some silliness. Because you're just not thinking you're not thinking about it from your customer's perspective, right?
Yeah. All right. So let's think about using your website to sell either product or service or apps or, whatever that is. I'm of the opinion that the fewest amount of clicks or piece of information that I actually need, the better. What about you?
Yeah, for the most part, but my perception has changed a little bit with that. And because as we've moved up market, we've introduced friction here and there, because
Okay.
we're qualifying, because we want to make sure it's that people are serious, that it's the right people that are coming into the funnel, so we'll actually talk with them. When I first launched, it was how quick and how easy can you make it for someone to sign up for a free trial? And now you got to talk with someone first. Like we because we know in the end they're going to be more successful. We're going to have the right people. We're going to be able to qualify them. And so we've actually introduced friction. When, like, if you ask the team, they'll hear from me every bloody day. You got to reduce that friction. Take that friction. Like, I'm just like, I must drive them nuts. And then all of a sudden it's like, let's introduce a little bit of friction there, because that the benefit is going to outweigh the friction. That is new for us, right?
Yeah, but that's critically. You just mentioned exactly what I put into Truly Financial's partner program.
Yep.
Which is, I got a way for them to just sign up and go, but I introduced a friction point, a stop point, where you can't start to sharing your affiliate link, which is you get referral money off of doing that, until you talk to somebody. And I don't care if it's by email, by phone, whatever it is, because again, I don't think you're going to be successful introducing a bank account to somebody when you don't really know what it is.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So the level of sophistication has gone up. So there's sort of the simple logic, the simple rules that have experience or intelligence behind them that makes sense. But that's where I think you bridge the gap from knowing to understanding. So you know something, you've heard it a bunch of times, but you truly understand it. And when you understand it, oftentimes you'll break the so-called rules, because you understand it and you say, okay, like, just reduce that friction. But when it gets to this point, we need this to happen to make them successful. It'll, like you said, it introduces friction, but the outcome on the other side is so much more successful.
Yeah, I'm all for automation, but I think, it's just like, I think we talked about at one point in time where how like Facebook will say, hey, invite your friends, and you can connect to your contact list and send out an invite. Hey, I'm on Facebook now. Come join me. It makes it so easy to do that, but Facebook doesn't care who you are to get a profile. You do. You don't want, I don't. My daughter, who doesn't own a business, doesn't have any. You don't want her in your lead list. You don't want her in your funnel, because she'll never buy your product. So it's one of those things where I think you do got to create a little bit of friction to make sure you're also sorting out the good from the bad. Quality leads.
Yeah, that's exactly true, and it's changed from when we went from we were initially thought that we were more of a fully automated system, down to actually no, it's less and less. Now you talk with people and It's the way our businesses evolved, but we had to evolve all those systems and processes along the way to meet that. And so that is like, so we had this website that, you know, when we first launched, I made the website, you know, and it was like a page, right? And then later on, we engaged a company, we got a website built. And then it just sort of like I said, over the years or a couple of years, it just was like duct tape and chicken wire holding the thing together. Like it just, you know, and then we finally started to go, okay, we understand more about our client, more about our sales process, more about who they are. What are they interested in? What do they want to know? And we've now rolled out a whole new website. But it was interesting. A conversation that came up the other day was during our sales process, we look at their sort of their selection and concern sort of phase, right? And we're looking at what are the things that worry them? What are the things that are, you know, because we want to be able to address them before they would become a partner of ours. That's really valuable information to suddenly move over to the website. So now we're looking at how do we get that information and aggregated over time so that we have a real understanding. What are the friction points? What are the fears? What are the things that hold back our customers potentially, so that we can actually address them from the first point, or early on in the process. And so it's we're sort of trying to pull some automation into that area.
Yeah. All right. So when you say, you want to give people information they want to know. So let's talk about what you've learned that people don't want to know. You're like, oh, no, we don't need to put that on the website anymore. What do you think doesn't have to be on websites that are on a lot of websites?
Well, like for ours, the one thing is we do not have a feature list, but at one point we did. Just lines and lines of bullet points of all the stuff that you could do in our software. We don't have that anymore because we're much more upmarket. It's much more nuanced. It's much more understanding their, issues and all that kind of stuff. And nobody wants to wade through that. And you don't want people making a decision on something so binary because they don't know the context of it. So I think sometimes it's you. There's a tendency to it's a little bit of baffle with bullshit. Just put on so much information. And I think it throws up a bunch of barriers where we actually pared it, like just pruned it down to get them to talk with us.
All right. So I'm thinking about that, right? The feature list. I don't think that applies across everybody because I think
no, not at all.
Yeah. There's sometimes you're like, I need to compare like, maybe some of those email, like MailChimp versus constant contact, they're both about the same price, do about the same thing, but do I get something that's more meaningful?
Exactly. And I think that comes down to what we were sort of talking about before is understanding the rules so you know when you can break them. Right. And so I think in a case like that, I definitely did not want to say like remove that from your website. I think it was more of really understand your customer journey, how they evaluate your product or service, how they buy, and tailor make it to them. One of the things that I think is, there's someone on the phone I was talking with earlier today that this sort of cropped up from their side. They were kind of concerned that like, yeah, I think our website has too much of our, like, I can't remember how they phrase it, internal logic or whatever. And I think that is a huge, huge problem on websites is you take your internal logic and your internal information and you dump it onto a website rather than looking from your customer's point of view. They don't care who does what or how you organize this or this sort of, there has to be that sensitivity to know, like, what is your customer journey? What are they looking at? What do they care about? And they don't care necessarily about your corporate internal structure, how you refer to things, or like there has to be that discipline to say, this is, I'm delivering what matters to you, not to the boardroom.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's kind of goes to, I've seen companies put every employee, here's our team. And then you're like 50 people.
6,000.
Yeah. So, it's part of that. What's really important to the person buying? Is it that Jill Smith is is our administrative travel coordinator? I don't know. Maybe that makes a difference. But in general, I think you have to target what the problem is, address the problem, show evidence that you can solve the problem. Uh, and I'm also a fan of social proof. Like, here's other people that think we can do it too.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And that's critical. And that's one of those things that we haven't done as well as we should have. We're doing a lot better now, where we actually have, we have a partners page. We have a lot of our partners on there. They have their own page that we're just starting, where they can have, a lot of depth, and it's more, they're excited to share it because it's their page, not a list of all their competitors. Right. And it still comes down to you understand what the overall scope of everything, but you really have to be so disciplined and take so much time on understanding your customer and the process they go through to buy from you. And like I mentioned, that this website we did, I can't tell you how long we even had a contractor help us build out this entire a map and content. Like we built all of this out and talked about it, and we debated it. And then when we had it in front of us, we went all the way through and looked at it from our customer perspective, and we just slashed and burned. We changed the whole thing, and it went through so many iterations. And I'm not saying we have perfection now by any means, but it is 1,000 miles ahead of where it was, because there was no website. It was all about the customer journey and the content and the way we support that journey.
All right, so let's kind of close the show in with our startup, right? We're at the smallest level of businesses, and I'm calling us a startup right now, mikeandblaine.com, right? Because, but think about it. If you go to mikeandblaine.com, all we did was use templates, off of, we used Wix for that one. So we have about $180 into it.
Yeah. And,
right.
and probably like a total of 1 hour. Like our first release was about 20 minutes, but
yeah,
it has like good stuff on there, right? It's easy to work your way through, right?
The hardest thing for me to do on that right now, which takes up the most time, is getting the logos for the beers and putting them on there and linking them to their website.
Yeah, which is really,
that's as hard as it is. Like, here's their logo, click it, and you go to their website.
And that's important stuff. So, but it's and you know what, like I've talked a lot about our website, and if you do want to kind of see where we're at, it's just dryrun.com. You can, now in the context of us talking about this, hopefully you can work your way through and get a sense of, how we structured it and how we came from looking at our customer base and how we would serve them, right? It's because there's a lot of discipline compared to our half-hour $180 Wix, but I still love that site.
Yeah, but the thing is, first of all, I think you guys have done an amazing job, in the evolution of dryrun.com. With mikeandblaine.com, though, we've kept it as simple. It could be just a one-page website. It could be. The reason why we have 2 pages is because we linked the podcast to it. The second page is the podcast. This podcast is theirs. So the audio version is on the website. But think about that. In this template, we were able to just, with one link to the podcast, it uploads on its own, with magic in the background, every episode.
Yep.
Then on the front page, the homepage, we've linked every YouTube video to it as well, which means, I think I have to go in every time you add one, I have to add it to the video library. So it kind of puts it in the carousel, but they're still there, right? They're still
easy to add. Like that things that used to be so challenging are like automatic or one click now. It's quite amazing. It's yeah. And, and like, I think back to my very, very first website for Dry Run. We didn't have a product. We didn't have a prototype at that point. We had an idea. When I say we, it was a royal we, it was me, had an idea. And I put up a page with a little description of what I was going to do. Like I talk in a couple sentences, and a little join our list. And that was it. And so, and that was literally it. We didn't have anything else. I was just like, well, let's start with that. But the nice thing is, by the time we launched, I had a nice little tidy list. Like I got it listed on a bunch. I would do it differently today, but it didn't have to be more than a single page.
But we didn't even talk about using your website to generate a prospect list, a lead list. We didn't even talk about that today. And that's a huge thing that you have to do. Get people to, to give you an email address to just correspond with you, get, special newsletters or an email that comes out or promotions or offers.
Yeah.
And you have to find ways to give where people feel comfortable. Either you have good content, maybe you've got a downloadable resource like white paper or case study, something like that, way to solve a problem. But yeah, that's a great point that we missed today.
We I don't think we got into a lot of the actual tactical level things that's so important. I like the something that we talk about like just constantly on every bloody page, the CTA call to action. How do you get somebody to do something? They're going to book a meeting with you. They're going to sign up for your newsletter. It's critical. It can't just be passive. I'm going to read,
right.
10,000 words on something and that's just the end of it. It's like, no, like
now
entice them, to tease them, get something from them, get them to do something, get them to download something, right?
Yeah. Okay. So I wrote that down because as we're doing episode topics, and if you have an idea for an episode topic, send it in, right? We now have a website where you can actually send us a note, mikeandblaine.com. Down at the bottom says contact us. And it's just like email. It just comes right to us. So try that out. And I've got to tell you, did you see the new component that I put on the website today?
I just got a snippet of it, but tell me more about it because it looked cool, but I want to know more.
And it was so simple. It's this company called Buy Me a Coffee, right? And it's a way to support a show, kind of a small thing like this. And, of course, when we say buy me a coffee, what we're really saying is, hey, buy me a beer. That's really what we're saying. So, you'll see that we've added onto our show episode notes just to support our show. And we don't need the support. It's just funny.
The fridge is already full. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. But it's just funny. So if you think about it and you want a beer, do this. Show your support, right? Go there, put in your $5, I think is what it is, just $5. And then in the notes, tell us what beer to go buy and we'll put it on the show. Just do that. All right.
That's a great idea. So if you're a brewer out there, hey, you get a chance to, for $5, we'll feature your beer. Now, if I don't like it, I may not be, I'm kidding.
Oh, man. Come on. Has there really been a beer you haven't liked?
Not in a while because I'm so bloody snobby about it these days. But I like kind of all beer, but I love some beer.
Yeah. So anyway, mikeandblaine.com. And if you want to see us in person, not in person, in video.
I'm not sure if you even want to see us, but anyway, it's not much to look at. But
we do have a YouTube channel. We need to put like a cover image or something on our YouTube channel so people can, it's a little bit more than just an N. Right now our logo is an N for Nobody Told Me.
Nobody. So. Yeah, we'll that'll be the next challenge for us.
Yeah, every day, just a little bit farther. So
incremental.
That's what you should be doing. That's what you should be doing. That's what we're talking about in your small business. A little bit of step every day. Take a step forward. And I tell you what, this was episode 19 of Nobody Told Me. We talked about everybody has a website. Websites are like opinions. Everybody has them. So Blaine Birch, good to see you again, man.
You too, man. This was fun.
Yeah. Take care.